Hello and welcome back to another episode of Oblivion on Nyxus Gaming. I am currently standing here next to a rune stone with a great view of the Imperial City, and wouldn't you know it, these rune stones are actually the topic of today's video. Yes, we are here for a Nyxus guide on the stones throughout Cyrodiil. So there are two types of stones that you can find. There are doom stones and then just regular rune stones. Doom stones can be divided into two subcategories: birth sign stones and heaven stones. We'll be going over those in the latter half of the video. For now, we're gonna focus on the rune stones. Rune stones have three subcategories. You have the Hestra Rune Stones, one of which I'm standing next to. And then there are also Reman and Sidri Ashak stones that you can find throughout this land. Now, just some general rules on these. Whenever you activate a rune stone that includes all three subcategories, you will always get a piece of bound armor and a bound weapon. Now, for the most part, they will give you a bound blade or a bound mace. And whichever one it gives you will depend on which one of your skills is larger. So if they're tied, you can see here, mine are not tied. I actually have higher blade. I will definitely get a bound blade weapon from these. But if they are tied, the tiebreaker always goes to the blunt weapon. Now, also, you can only use one type of runestone once a day. If I use this Hestra Rune Stone now, I cannot use it for the rest of the day. I can use a Reman or a Sidri Ashak, but I cannot use another Hestra. Likewise, today is Turdas. If I use this stone today on Turdas, I cannot use it next week on Turdas. I would have to cycle to the next day in order to use it. So you can't use it twice in one day, and you can't use it on the same day of the previous week you used it. A little weird, I know. Also, general note, around most of these runestones, you can find some decently rare alchemical ingredients if you're into all the alchemy and stuff. Hestra runestones in particular, when you activate them, they will always give you bound gauntlets that count as light armor, and they will either give you a bound dagger or a bound mace, depending on which skill is higher. If your blunt is higher, you'll get the mace. If your blade is higher, you will get the dagger. Now, upon use, you'll get this message: the stone stirs under your hand. Do you seek its conjured weapon and armor? Press yes. You go ahead and get that gauntlet and dagger or mace, whichever one. And these will last for 5 minutes. Now, just beware, when you have these equipped, you cannot equip anything else over them. So you either have to wait out the 5 minutes, or you can generally just wait about 3 hours. And as soon as that last hour ticks down, it'll unequip it for you, and it'll just re-equip the weapon you had beforehand. Easy as that. There are 10 of these Hestra Rune Stones throughout Cyrodiil. This one I'm at now, you can see the Imperial City there. Let's see, if you see that building right there, it is Ayleswale. And there is a fort directly over there. I guess it would be easier just to show you on the map right about here. And like I said, there are 10 of them throughout the game that you can find. I'm going to flash a map up on the screen right about now, showing all 10 of them in the red color. Remember that, red color equals the Hestra Rune Stones. I'm going to be adding other colors to this map as we go through them all. So red equals Hestra. Next up, we have Reman Rune Stones. Visually, they aren't much different from the Hestra Rune Stones. Maybe the actual rune on them is different. I'd assume so. It's not different enough for me to really pay attention, though. Whenever you activate these, you will get a bound cuirass that counts as heavy armor. Did I pronounce that right? I don't think I've ever pronounced that right in my life. It counts as heavy armor, and you will also either get a bound claymore or a bound axe. Again, whether your blade or blunt skill is higher, a blade skill will get you the claymore. The axe will come from the blunt skill. So of course, I am gonna get the claymore from this. And there it is. A good note too is it won't always be Daedric equipment. It will probably only be Daedric if you're high level, I'd assume. But yeah, these are what Reman Rune Stones gets you. Now there are 9 of these in the game that you can find. If you see there, I'm still just around the Imperial City, right over here next to the Shrine of Kinnereth. And I will flash up a map on screen right about now that shows all 9 locations in blue. Now we move on to the Sidri Ashak Rune Stones, and again, while not visibly very different, they are probably the most mechanically different out of the 3 regular rune stones. Whenever you activate these, you will get a bound helmet that counts as light armor, and you will get a bound bow. Now there is no alternative for the weapon like the other ones, so you will always get the bound bow here. And unlike the other 2 stones that last for 5 minutes, this one only lasts for 2 minutes, oddly enough. I guess they figured a bow was a little overpowered to have for 5 minutes, so they only gave you 2. These are also a bit rarer than the other 2 stones. There are only 5 of these throughout Cyrodiil. And this one here is located just south of the Imperial City right here. And just like with the other 2, right about now, I am flashing up a map on screen that shows all 5 as a green color. Now we are moving over to the Doom Stones, and as I said earlier, these can be divided into 2 subcategories, the Birth Sign Stones and the Heaven Stones. We'll be going over the Birth Sign Stones first, and these work pretty much exactly like they do in Skyrim. There's 1 stone based on each birth sign that you can choose at the beginning of the game. You can only have 1 active at any time, but they do give a different spell/effect than your actual birth sign does. We'll be showing that off with the first one here, the Thief Stone. Now, if you go ahead and activate it, so it turns out that apparently you can only activate Doom Stones at night in between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. So now that it's the appropriate time, let's go ahead and activate the Thief Stone. Marked by a special fate, you rule your destiny. Do you choose to steer by the stars of the thief? The stars of the thief shine upon you. You have gained the Cheater's Nip Greater Power. So every time you activate one of these, you get a spell that you can use as a greater power for free. Now, the Cheater's Nip in particular will fortify your agility and your luck by 20 points for 2 minutes on yourself. And just to show it, that is completely different than the Thief Birth Sign. So you could have the Thief Birth Sign, but a completely different greater power from any other sign, and just have 2 different abilities, or you could still stack them on the same birth sign and still get 2 abilities. They are different and work separately. Let's move on to the next. I don't know if I showed it, but the Thief Stone can be found right here just north of the Imperial City. I will include a map with all the birth sign stones after we have found them all. The Apprentice Stone can be found here just kind of southwest of Skingrad. You can literally see the wall from here. And this time when you activate it, you get pretty much the same message, just replacing the birth sign name again. But this time, you get the Void Seed Greater Power. What the Void Seed does when you activate it, it will fortify your illusion and your alchemy by 20 points for 2 minutes. The Atronach Stone here can be found sort of in the middle of Kvatch and Skingrad, just in the open field here. And upon activating it, you will get the Archive the Arcane Well Greater Power. The Arcane Well, whenever you activate it, will fortify your intelligence by 10 points and increase your spell absorption by 30 points for 2 minutes. The Lady Stone here can be found just outside of Anvil by the shoreline, and once you activate it, you will get the Lady's Warding Greater Power. Whenever you activate this spell, it will fortify your willpower and your endurance by 20 points for 2 minutes. The Lord Stone here is one of the harder ones to find, if I'm being honest. It is sort of just in the middle of nowhere, no real important locations nearby. It's kind of near Anvil and Kavach, but you got to go pretty much all the way to the world border. The world border is right about there, so if you just follow it around, eventually you'll see this stone here. When you activate it, you get Ysmir's Scales as a greater power. Ysmir's Scales will give you Resist Frost 50%. It will fortify your light armor and your heavy armor by 10 points, and do all of that for 2 minutes. The Lover Stone can be found along the Silverfish River here. I guess the closest landmark would be the Imperial Bridge Inn right about over there. And whenever you activate it at the correct time, it will give you the Lover's Bower Greater Power. And what that does when you cast it, it will fortify your personality and your luck by 20 points for 2 minutes. The Mage Stone here is another one that's sort of out of the way. You're just going to have to kind of wander in between Shadenhall and the previous stone, and hopefully you'll find it. It's kind of just north of the end of this river here. I guess that kind of helps. But whenever you activate it, you get the Magicka Manifold Greater Power. And what that does is it will fortify your Magicka by 50 points for 2 minutes. The Ritual Stone here can be found sort of in between Leowyn and Breville on the other side of the river here. And whenever you activate it, you will get the Mara's Milk and Mara's Mercy Greater Powers. Now, this one is unique. It actually gives you 2 different ones. The Mara's Mercy will restore your health by 150 points. Not just your health, whoever you cast it on. Mara's Milk will restore your own health by 100 points. So you get 2 really good healing spells from this stone here. Actually, a really nice choice. Next up, the Serpent Stone here can be found sort of in between Deepscorn Hollow and Leowyn here. Once activated, it will give you the Cobra's Dance Greater Power. Cobra's Dance, whenever you cast it, will paralyze any target for 5 seconds and damage their health by 4 points for 20 seconds. Very useful for combat. Now we have the Shadow Stone here, which can be found east of Cropsford on the other side of the river. Also sort of north of the Silverfish River, just right around here. And when you activate it, you will get the Fingernail Moon Greater Power. With the Fingernail Moon, you can cast Chameleon 15% for 2 minutes on yourself, just in case you're trying to sneak around and not be found. The Steed Stone can be found just along the Blue Road in between Shadenhall and the Imperial City, and whenever you activate it at night, you will get the Hellride Greater Power. What Hellride does for you is it fortifies your speed and your acrobatics for 120 seconds, aka 2 minutes, by 20 points. The Tower Stone here can be located just across from the waterfront of the Imperial City at the northern end of this little island here. And whenever you activate it, you will get the Warden Key and the Master's Hand Greater Power. Just like the Lover's Stone, this one gives 2 powers. The Master's Hand will fortify your armor skill for 20 points for 2 minutes, And the Warden key will open a hard lock in 15 feet of you. I'm probably actually going to keep this stone around for this character just because it can open a hard lock, and that'll be useful for getting around. The final birth sign stone that we will find is the Warrior Stone here that can be found southeast of Skingrad, right next to this Ayleid ruin here. It is the Warrior Stone, and when you activate it, you get the Warcry Greater Power. When you cast Warcry, you will fortify your strength for 20 points, your blade and blunt for 10 points, and your hand-to-hand for 10 points, all of those for 2 minutes straight. Again, a really good one for combat if your skills just aren't up to where they should be. At this point, now that we've gone over all of the birth sign stones, I am going to go ahead and flash up the map right about now and include the location of all those, let's say, in yellow. Or maybe goldish, one of the two. Next up, we are going to be going over the Heaven Stones. Now, these are another subset of the Doom Stones, much like the Birth Sign Stones, but they work differently. These Heaven Stones here can be obtained all at once. The Birth Sign Stones, you could only get one at a time, but you can get all of these. Now, they do each have a Fame requirement. Fame is a stat that you get from doing quests around Tamriel, around Cyrodiil, and closing Oblivion portals. To get the last Heaven Stone that's in the game, you're going to need 70 Fame. Now, it's not just Fame, actually. These stones count a combination of Fame and Infamy. So as long as both of these numbers add up to 70, you should be good to get all of them. Sorry, I'm being disturbed while going over this. The only other thing that's different about these stones is that they do each have a unique message to them. So starting off, we have the Jone Stone here. To activate this one, you're going to need a combination of 10 Fame and Infamy. Marks of the hero's doom are traced on Jone's face. This gives you the Jone's Shadow Greater Power. Whenever you cast it, you will get invisibility for 2 minutes, and it will fortify your sneak, acrobatics, and athletics for 30 points for 2 minutes as well. In case you were wondering, it's probably important to include the Jone Stone can be found right about here north of Skingrad near Goblin Jim's cave. Next, we have the Aetherius Stone. It can be found nearby in sort of the same area, just northwest of Skingrad here. It is next to a Reman Rune Stone there. You need 20 Fame or Infamy in order to activate it, and the stars in their courses mark the hero's doom upon Aetherius. You're starting to see a trend here. They're the Doom Stones. They're all going to mention doom. Let's see, the Gates of Aetherius' Greater Power will fortify your magicka by 20 points and give you a resistance of magic 20% for 2 minutes when you cast it. The Jode Stone can be found kind of just south of Kvatch and east of Anvil. It's going to take 30 Fame or Infamy in order for you to activate it, but when you do, at night, on Jode's face, the hero's doom is traced. You have gained the Jode's Blood Greater Power. The Jode's Blood Greater Power, whenever you activate it, does a bunch of things, as you can tell. It will fortify your health for 40 points, but also your blade, blunt, and hand-to-hand by 20 points for 2 minutes. So it's a better version of the Warrior Stone. You don't even need the Warrior Stone anymore if you have that. The Sithian Stone can be found north of Kvatch, right around here, and you need 40 Fame or Infamy in order to activate it. The hero's doom is figured in Scythian mystery. You have gained the Scythian Web Greater Power. The Scythian Web, if you were to activate it, would fortify your marksman, speechcraft, illusion, security, and mercantile by 20 points for 2 minutes. As you get higher and higher in these heaven stones with more fame and infamy, they do get better like that, and we still have a few more of these to go. Next, we have the Magnus Stone, which can be found just south of the Panther River in between Breville and Leyawiin, and you need 50 fame or infamy in order to activate it. The Children of Magnus chart the hero's doom in their paths. You have gained the Children of Magnus greater power. If you were to activate the Children of Magnus, noted as the Skein of Magnus for some reason, you can already see it does a lot. It fortifies your restoration, conjuration, destruction, alteration, mysticism, illusion, and alchemy by 15 points for 2 minutes. Basically, all of your magic skills get fortified for 2 minutes. The Shezarr Stone can be found a short walk just north of Leyawiin here, and you need a combination of 60 fame and infamy in order to activate it. The Shade of Shezarr shrouds the hero's doom. You have gained the Shield of Shezarr, greater power. The Shield of Shezarr, whenever activated, will give you Reflect Spell 10% and also fortify your block, heavy armor, light armor, and armor skills by 20 points for 2 minutes. This is more like a tanky sign, I guess. The final stone in the game is gonna be the Dragon Stone here. It can be found north of Shadenhull, just around Lake Arius here. And I already know it's the wrong time. When you activate it, the dragon dreams, but the hero gleams in his eye. You have gained the Dragon Dream, greater power. The Dragon Dream, when you activate it, it will fortify your magicka by 50 points, your health by 40 points, and your fatigue by 100 points for 2 minutes. Just kind of buffs all your 3 primary stats for 2 minutes if you really need it. Which isn't bad. It's just sort of disappointing for a final sign. Did I mention that you need 70 fame or infamy in order to get this one? It's going to take a while to unlock this, and that's just kind of a disappointing greater power if you ask me. Now, there is one more stone, but it does not exist in the game. It has been found when players mine through the construction set for the game. It would have been called the Nirn Stone, and it would have taken 100 fame or infamy in order to unlock it. It would have given you the Nirn's Breath. The message would be the heavens wheel around Nirn and Nirn's hero. I think other than the Dragon Stone, it's the only other one that doesn't mention Doom. So that's good, right? The Nirn's Breath, greater power. If in the game, it would have given you Detect Life for 100 feet, Fortify Fatigue 200 points, Fortify Health 100 points for 2 minutes. Which is better than the Dragon, I'll give it that, but still kind of disappointing for fame and infamy, having to be at 100. That being said, we have covered every single stone in the game. I'm going to go ahead and flash the map up on screen right about now to show all the new heaven stones that we've found in a purple color. And we're going to go ahead and end off the episode here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time for another lovely little guide. Bye-bye.